Hi everyone, welcome to Learning by Doing with Praveen Kandan. This is Praveen. In this Java exception handling playlist, we will learn exception handling concepts from the scratch. This is Java exception handling session number 15, Introduction to Checked Exception. If you are serious about learning, then like the video, subscribe the channel for more update, and please click the bell icon and select all notification option. Don't choose personalized option. You may miss some session updates. Let's get started. In our previous sessions, we have discussed about try, catch, finally plot. Please watch the session number 11 to 14 and then attend the session number 15. Before getting to the introduction to checklist exception, I'd like to share the solution for all the existing problems we have discussed from the session number 1 to 10. Initially, we have discussed only what type of problem we are facing. Example, arithmetic exception problem means I'm executing the code, then you can easily understand what I'm telling. So from session number 1 to 10, we have just discussed about what exception will come if I'm giving the wrong input. See here, I'm giving 0. I'm not handling this exception. So 100 divided by 0, exception will thrown. Line number 17 and 18 will not be executed. See here, line number 17 and 18 is not executed. Exception is thrown. Okay. So how to handle this exception? For that, we have discussed only try, catch, and finally with some examples. Now we'll map this problem with the solution. Okay, then you can easily understand. So one by one, we'll discuss now. Type 1 solution. I'm going to place that problematic code, there is exception code or hotspot code in the try block. Okay, solution, because this time see here, if I'm executing this, it'll ask you to type the input as usual. I'm going to place that exception code in the try block. Okay, previously we have provided just like that. Okay, reading the input and then dividing the value. This time giving it in the try block. What's the use of try block? Place the exception code. We are having the doubt like this code may throw an exception at runtime, so place that code in the try block. I'm giving the 0 now. So 100 divided by 0 definitely will throw an arithmetic exception. So I'm having the catch block. What's the usage of catch block? So exception thrown by try block, we have to handle that exception by that catch block. So where the exception is throwing, it should be handled by the catch block. So I'm giving the catch arithmetic exception E. So now the output is exception handle will be printed. The rest of the code is also printing now. Program terminated. In our previous code, the rest of the code is not executed. It disrupts the normal flow of the program. I'm right. The rest of the code is not executed. Even if exception is occurring now, we are handling that exception and then we are displaying the rest of the code also. Program is terminated. Scanner class also closed now properly. I hope you clear this type 1 problem. Next one, type 2. What you have discussed, array index out of bound. So first I'll show that array index out of bound problem. After I'll show the solution parallelly. See here, array index out of bound exception problem. So I'm executing the code without try and catch block. So I'm giving the position number now 7 out and giving the value as 750. So array of 7 equal to 750. Actually the array size is only 0 to 4 due to line number 18. Exception will be thrown. What is that? Array index out of bound exception. Rest of the code line number 20, 21, 22 is not executed. This is the problem we have faced. Now we have mapped with the solution. So what is that solution here? We are going to give it in a try and catch block. Okay, so exception code is given in the try block and handled by the catch block. Okay, so you can able to notice that if I'm open that scanner class, I'm declaring that you have to close it. It's the proper standard. That's the reason I'm getting the warning here. Scanner, as per the industry standards, you have to close it. Same water tap problem. Previous session I discussed. If you open the water tap, always a good practice to close it. Same thing. If you're declaring the scanner class reference variable, you have to close it properly. See, previously faced an issue array index out of bound exception. This time I'm using the try and catch block to solve this problem. So exception code is placed in this try block. If the exception is happening alone, it will move on to the catch block. If it is normal execution, it itself will execute everything. Okay. So I'm giving the position as now 5, 0 to 4 only allowed. I'm giving the value as now 45. So array of 5 equal to 45, it is trying. So here only the error, notice that exception is runtime exception is occurring. Now control we move on to the line number 20. What will print? Invalid array position will be printed. Okay. If I'm giving the correct value, no issues. I'm giving the array index position as 2 and in value as 78. It will be stored and printed array of course. Catch is there is no work for catch block here. Okay, there is no need of, but if you're using the try block, always it should be followed by catch block, otherwise it will throw an error. Even you will check whether your final block is accepted. See here, another important point. Try block must be followed either by catch block or final block. Some block should be there. If you're using the try block alone, it will throw an error. You can able to see this syntax error. Insert finally to complete try statement. Okay. It should be followed by either catch or final block. I hope I clear this example. Third problem what we have faced, number format exception. So I'll close this array index out of bound exception. So number format exception, what is happening? If it is a number, not a problem. We already discussed this issue. If you're giving the number itself string and converting into a or adding concatenating to the string, or see, I'm exiting like this. It's already is a number. I'm converting into a, I'm first of all adding that. So 2306 is here. What is that? String. So I'm concatenating. Concatenation operation is possible. Next, I'd like to convert a string into integer. Already 2306 a number, but is already provided in the string. So converting into a number means string is converted to number 2306, and then rest of the code program is completed, is executing. But the case is now completely a different one. So what I'm giving means I'm giving Java as my string, converting into a number that is integer using the wrapper class integer I'm providing means it will throw an runtime exception here. Number format exception. I can't able to convert this Java into integer. So this is the problem we have faced already. Okay. Now we are giving the solution to this problem. As usual, using the try catch block, place the exception code in the try block. I'm giving this s equal to Java here. Okay. Or in try block also you can give it, no issues. So if this time if it is executing converting your string into integer, okay, it will handling that exception. See here, what is that? So it's not converting, so line number 10 is not executing. Now from line number 9, here only we are facing the issue converting a string into integer. So from line number 9, exception will be thrown to the line number 12. So exception thrown, so line number 12 catch block will catch that exception. What is that? Number format exception. Output is invalid numeric string. Even if you're giving that here rest of the code as program terminated, it will execute now. The previous program, this last line is not executed. Am I right? Just throwing an exception alone. If you're not using that try catch block, the rest of the code is not executed, line number 11 and 12. But if I'm using this try block, properly handling that exception, this line number 16, rest of the code is protected, so it is executed now. Similarly, you can go for null pointer exception also. Null pointer exception, we already faced that issue. What is that? If you're using that length function for the null, it will throw a runtime exception. Rest of the code program completed is not executed. You can't able to find the length for null, runtime exception. So how to handle this exception? We are having the solution. So place the exception code in the try block. S is equal to not dot is equal to null, and s dot length, if you're finding exception is handled, and output is what is that? String is null. Previously we faced an issue, we can't able to find the length for the string. So yeah, runtime exception is happening, rest of the code is not executed. But now problem is sorted out. What is that? If the null is coming, and then if you're trying to find the length of the string, it is not printed. So catch block will handle that exception. What it is printing, string is null. So please check it out. Likewise, you can give some message, alert message. String is null. You can't able to find the length of the string. So these are the problems we already faced and then executed in hands-on manner. Now I'm sharing the solutions alone for these problems. Next, back to the agenda. What is that? Checked exception and checked exception. So final understanding here. So far we have discussed from session number 1 to till this session 15 unchecked exceptions. What are the unchecked exceptions we have discussed? Go back to that flow chart. So throwable is the root class, subclasses are exception and then error. If I'm not wrong, session number 4 we have discussed this hierarchy. So in exception we having the checked exception and unchecked exception. So checked exception means check it at compile time, unchecked exception check it at runtime. So far we have discussed from session number 1 to this session 15 we have discussed unchecked exceptions, because unchecked exceptions are very important, because it is going to uh, handled by the developer, because due to that user problem, okay, user may give some invalid input, we have to sort out that issues when and all user can give some wrong inputs, because compiler means checked exception means these are the default errors, so compiler will handle it. This unchecked exception compiler can't able to handle it, divide by zero, null pointer, we have to handle that. So that's why we are giving first priority to the unchecked exception. We have discussed how exception occurs, why programs terminated, the rest of the code is not executed due to the exception, how developers must handle these user mistakes, try, catch, multiple catch block we have discussed, generic exception handling discussed, instead of doing a lot of catch block, use the generic class when and all it is required. At last, we have discussed the final block importance. So developer responsibility, we can't control the users, so users may give wrong input. Developers must handle the exception. So this process is called as the exception handling. Now we can able to understand what is my exception handling, what you are going to handle it. So coming to the agenda, checked exceptions in Java programming. So far we have discussed 1 to 15 sessions we handle, that is discussed about only the unchecked. Now we are coming to the first exception. What is the checked exception? Checked exceptions are exception that is identified the Java compiler at compile time. That means before running the program itself, Java compiler knows that a particular statement may throw an exception and force the developer to handle it. If you not handle it, programmer, that is a program will not compile. We already discussed in our introduction part itself. Now I'll show you the examples. Okay. First, we'll discuss with the normal syntax errors, missing semicolon, missing curly brace, wrong keyword. Compiler will tell. Okay. So this is purely a developer mistake. wrongly typing the code. Next, checked exception error. Even though code is correct, still ideally shows some red lines. We already discussed in our previous sessions. In a formally, once again, I'm telling you, in arithmetic exceptions problem, we already discussed this type of issues. This, I think, session number 5 or 6 we have discussed. Remaining files I'll close it. From session number 1 to 5 itself, we have discussed this type of exceptions. Even though your program is correct, okay, you may tell as a developer, my program is 100% correct, but still it is throwing an exception. There is a red line error. We'll discuss these things here. Yeah, this type of program we already discussed. Wait, I'll show it to you. One by one, we'll discuss. So I'm using the thread class with the method sleep. So we already told you what's the use of sleep method. It takes some time. Okay, it takes a delay for 1 second. 1,000 means here is a millisecond. So 1,000 millisecond equal to 1 second. We are waiting our process for 1 second. Okay, we are waiting our process for 1 second. So I'm exiting this code. Wait. Is there any code is executing in background? Check. Line number 5. Yes, package name is missing. Com dot is missing. We'll give it com dot exception. Yes, now it is sorted out. See here, 100% your code is right. There is no syntax error. But what error you are getting? Red line, unhandled except type interrupted exception. So what's easier? First of all, thread dot sleep means you are waiting your process for 1 second. The program is executing and we are making a delay for 1 second. It will wait for 1 second because 1,000 means 1,000 is a millisecond. So 1,000 millisecond equal to 1 second. The program execution is waiting for 1 second. We are making a delay voluntarily. So when the cursor is placed on the red line, ID shows unhandled exception type, interrupted exception, unhandled exception type, interrupted exception. It will give the message like this. So these exceptions, why it is showing. Okay, all these concepts we'll discuss in the forthcoming session because already this video is taking too much length. Okay, so I'll try to pause the video now. In the forthcoming session I'll tell you why we are getting this error, why I should handle it, because so far as per the agenda we are discussed what is my checked exception. So these checked exceptions are identified by Java compiler at compile time. There is no logic error. Okay, see here, everything is right. Here itself, this red mark telling this is what you are telling checked exception. At the compilation time itself, it will show the message. See here, it will give the message. What is that? Interrupted exception, unhandled exception type. Okay, we'll discuss in the forthcoming session. If you found this session useful, then like the video, subscribe channel for more update. and please share it with your friends. Thank you for watching.